I'm already cool. Okay. I have questions with AJ Jones here. I haven't been able to do this as much as I'd like to this year. I'm trying to just do special interviews with people I really, really want to pluck their minds about and get some answers, especially for someone like myself who's getting older. This series of 5 questions is going to kick off just in time for springtime, renewal, rebirth, all that stuff. But I figured someone who could probably give me some great answers, as someone who I love watching her post on Instagram, as my mother does. My family relative out of Texas, my beautiful cousin, Renay. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy. I love your frames too.
Thank you. Look, they're much needed now.
Well, yeah, and I know, and it's funny because I'm about to get new ones myself because the other ones aren't staying on my face long enough. So I figured contacts today because I knew I would be taking my, she'd be cutting my hair and every stuff be falling all over my face. So I said, let me put the contacts on today. All right. Well, thank you again for joining. And these questions are just going to be coming at the top of my head. But as you know, I sent them to you earlier just because I want to not throw a loop on you.
Okay.
But growing up, obviously, with me and my sister, as you know, I have been noticing a lot of stuff that's been changing, obviously, which is going to happen with age. But it's a whole nother level now that I'm 43. I'm not one of these people afraid to say my age because 9 times out of 10 people don't believe it anyway. I don't know how you feel about people asking you about your age, but I feel like it's something that I've accepted. What I'm not having an easy time accepting in my 40s is all the body issues that are starting to happen. Weight gain, I'm more irritable than normal. I feel like I have to guess when my cycle's coming, and then it comes and stops so quick that I forgot, and I'm just more forgetful. That's another thing. But my first question is going to just start with, sometimes you hear the saying, you're as old as you feel. I have friends that are older than me that do not. In fact, my bestie, Jen, I call her Benjamin Buttons because she don't act 50 at all. So do you agree with that?
Yes. Okay. Age it's definitely up to you whether or not you feel your age, and the things that you need to do in order to make yourself feel better. If you're achy and tired all the time, and it has something to do with what you're not doing or what you are doing. So I think age is basically how you feel. It's up to you.
I agree. It's perspective. Now living in Texas, a lot of nonsense has been going on, obviously, with all this brouhaha over women's rights. Again, like, this hasn't been a known issue, and I don't understand what the questioning is. But do you feel the same since the pandemic? Has there been more attention to women's health, especially where you are in Texas, obviously? Or do you feel like it's the same kind of level of intensity regarding the whole issue with women's health and getting rid of abortion laws?
Living in a very conservative state, it's something they're just used to, but that I'm used to. But hearing, all of these laws, people who make laws that have no idea about the female body. But I think it's not so much more of an awareness, because I think it's always been there, or issues have always been there. But I think there's been a change where you have more people speaking out, standing up for women's rights. It's not, I think the issue's always been there, period. But people are a lot more vocal now, a whole lot more vocal. And it's not that in the past they weren't vocal, it's that now we have more outlets to be vocal.
That's the bottom line. Yep. I agree. Because it's not like we haven't heard our parents or our grandparents even talking about. It's not a new issue. Right. Half the time when I talk to mom about anything that we're on fire about right now, mom's like, we've been screaming about that. Like, it's nothing new to me. But to me, I agree with you. I think we have more avenues to actually get some stuff, at least some movement on it, whether or not they decide to do anything about it, in the Senate or Congress. I do think if you expose a lot more people behind the scenes, which is what social media has begun to do, exactly. I think there's going to be a point where now what they're doing now, they're trying to sneak and do stuff without people exposing it until it gets exposed. And then suddenly it's an issue. And I don't think people thought it. Just, to me, made me feel like people really think women are dumb. You know what I mean? I realize generation to generation, there's just been a certain decorum towards women that has been tolerated, but our newer generation and under me and my sister's kids now, they're going to understand that women have a lot more than just the rights. It's choices, it's perspective, it's education.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things that they're just not going to be able to handle. And I think they're trying to put this stamp on it by overturning all of this now so that we won't feel like we can express ourselves, you know? And it's a hot mess. I mean, I say God bless you in Texas because I'd be like trying to move if I were you.
The thing about what I can say, the thing about Texas now is that it's really a struggle here because we have an influx of people from other states now. We have more Californians here moving to Texas than ever. Really, people from all over. Because number one, the housing market is crazy right now because we have such an influx of people. So the nature of Texas is changing.
I hope so. Because like you said, cost of living is better, I notice, in the South, no matter what. But then you deal with that mindset that kind of, we have it obviously here in the North too, obviously. I mean, now we're in Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is a huge state. There's a whole part of Pennsylvania that I would never want to go to. But moving on to that, now that I'm 43, I see how hard it is to be consistent with a workout, wellness, meditation routine. Okay. To successfully get me through the week. And now, especially because I have this blood lead issue with this pre-diabetes reading, and I'm trying to get that number down. So now that I've gotten my vitamin D back in control and my cholesterol and all that stuff, I'm noticing that I'm just plateauing when it comes to consistent workouts. But how do you maintain your sanity and or health when you find yourself in a struggle? Like, what do you do? What do you find that helps you be consistent?
For the most part, I try to do something daily. And it's hard to be, like you said, to have this whole beautiful plan worked out because that's just not real life. But I try to do, find light in every day, in that light giving activities. Sometimes, a lot of times, something as simple as drinking a cold glass of water will make us feel better because water is replenishing. But I do meditate every morning. I have to, the nature of my job. I have to have a Zen mindset going in with classroom full of little ones. I do meditate, and then I journal. And journal is not this big, long, just, it could be a brain dump. It could be a prayer. It could be, a gratitude list. It could be, so I try to do something like that regularly to keep my sanity. And it also could be something as simple as every day when I pull up in the driveway, just sitting for 5 minutes in silence, just peace, just complete peace, because that will keep you sane.
I agree. I mean, I've learned mindfulness through therapy, and I never knew that mindfulness could be just as simple as paying attention to just how you put your foot down and touch the ground or touch the grass. Like,
Definitely. So stepping in a simple backyard.
Yeah, breathing.
With ground. Yes.
I didn't realize all that stuff. Like, honestly, now that I have been introduced, because I went through cognitive behavioral therapy as well when I was going through some stuff in between dropping out of UArts and then going to work full time again and dealing with that, and then just dealing with being at work, like at the company I was at for like 10 plus years. There was just a lot of moments of depression and a lot of like, because I know I wasn't really doing what I want to do, and I'm still struggling with it, but I've learned now to ingratiate the arts into my life, because I realized there's a lot of expressive parts of me that I've kind of stifled, and maybe that was bringing on the depression. But I do feel like that meditation is probably the most challenging yet rewarding thing I have added to the repertoire of getting back into shape physically. So I do feel like it could start there and then lead to something else. But that's a good idea, because I know I've gotten away from journaling. So I'm glad you even brought that up, but thank you. And then also, like I always tell you, mom every day looks forward to your Instagram stories, because when you put stuff to music, she's just like, oh, look at me posted. And I'm just like, did I miss one? I think I missed a post. But okay, so this whole bringing about, not only just to reconnect with my cousin, but and also for everyone to understand that I'm going to be in a period now in my life where I know that eventually the word perimenopause is going to be real. I swore 2 nights ago I had the worst hot flash in the middle of the night I've ever had, and I'd never had one like that, because it wasn't even that hot the other night. Like, it's just now starting to get humid here. And I want to know what you feel like menopause means to you. And is it something I should fear, or how have you learned that it's just one of those things you accept as just a part of life?
I see menopause as change. Yep. And we can see change two ways. We can see it as a good thing or a bad thing. And hold on.
It happens.
And with that, what I wish that I would have maybe talked to my aunties or my mom even more about the whole situation, because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready and didn't understand what was going on with me. It took who I call my mentor, my principal, a former principal of mine, to say, baby, you okay? You know, once she realized all the symptoms, she was like, it's just you're going through menopause. What? It was the furthest thing from my mind, you know. And then that's what triggered me to call my mom and say, you know, what age were you when? Because you just that's just not a conversation we have, you know. But I do see it as a change, and for me, it was a positive change.
Okay.
Because body changing. No, now it wasn't fun. I didn't say fun.
I'm about to say, I'm like, please be real.
Right. No, wasn't fun, but it was a positive change. And I'll say, let me just say it like this. My 40s, going through menopause, going through my 40s, I see that as a time period of redefining. So I can see you going through that yourself. You're redefining who Elena is, who you are, you know, who you are. But when I turn 50, now that I'm 50, I consider this time in my life as freedom. Freeing. It's very freeing right now to be 50, because we tend to hold a lot of pressures, put a lot of pressures on ourselves. As in our 20s and our 30s, you know, we have an idea of what our perfect life would be. And then when it doesn't manifest in that way, it can lead to depression. And I had a nervous breakdown myself, Lena. And it took someone to help me be aware of, let all that stuff go, baby. Let all that stuff go. And just realize that it's up to you to define what your life is going to be. And if it didn't happen the way you thought or you think it should happen, that means it's not going to be sweet. Time for you to redefine what you want for the rest of your life. And so in my 40s, I had to figure out, what is it that I want? You know, and sometimes you have to have a breakdown to start over. And so anyway, back to what you're saying, menopause is a end of a certain time period, a season of your life, but it's also the beginning of something else.
So it's just a beginning and an end, and it's just another process and another chance to kind of, I guess, start over in a way, or clean slate in a way.
Yeah. It's redefining your femininity, redefining who you are as a woman, because so many of us define ourselves on motherhood or the job or this and that. And when it doesn't turn out, because I don't have any kids, but I have children in my life who I love dearly. And it took a long time for me to get over that. You know, because you take that in, and it's almost like a disappointment. It could be, but I had to change my whole mindset around that.
Yeah, I was just the opposite. I never wanted kids, but I also realized a lot of that now was just a defense, because I just didn't even want to think that far ahead. I think a lot of it was just me trying to survive, just getting through the year that I was going through, because there was always something emotional I couldn't handle. And I had a lot of issues with in high school, but that kind of just reared itself in college, and maybe that's contributed to why I never stayed. I just think it was a lot of social anxiety that I didn't realize I had, and I think there was just stuff that I just never. Confidence obviously was something I battled all the time, but I think as I gotten older, like you said, you just get to a point where you just have to kind of redefine it, and I agree with you.
Yeah, and I say for sure, don't fear it. Okay, not gonna be fun. I didn't say that. Don't you call
Yeah.
me back and go,
Yeah.
hey, now you said no. Night sweats, and that's one of the reasons why I went natural, because me and the chemicals and me
Yeah.
sweating, I was wasting money, a ton of money, a ton of money. And my hairstylist was like, look, let me tell you this, either you're gonna cut this all off or you're gonna get some braids. But what I'm
Right.
not gonna do is put any more relaxers on your hair, because you're wasting money. You'll be here
Right.
every week if that's the case. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, like I
Yeah.
said, it's you do learn more about yourself during that time period, you know. So, I think it strengthens you. I know that may sound crazy, but I think it strengthens you. But it's nothing to fear at all. It's not, because I promise you, when you get over all of the symptoms and the this and that, it's so freeing, Lane. It is. This is the most free I've ever felt in life.
I tell you one thing, I do feel better because I know that everything you're saying makes sense to me. I just think where I get caught up is thinking like, how long do I have to feel pain? You know what I mean? Why does sometimes even getting out of bed require 10 minutes of stretching, you know, and why can't I even just walk around the park? I mean, walk around the block real quick. It's a whole process for me to even move when I'm working from home. Like, I'm just like, all right, I'll do it later. And then I'm like, you know what, let me just get on and do some quick yoga and stuff just to compensate, you know. And my last question just ties into that. So when did you find that you were mentally, physically changing as you're getting over, and were you okay with it? Where was the moment, whether it be just borderline 50, or was it exactly at 50 that you started noticing the changes and how you were approaching things? What was that
I
moment?
want to say, I may not know the exact moment, but at 45, I just didn't handle it at all well. That's when the breakdown and the struggle came, and it was just ridiculous. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. But after that breakdown and going through self healing, trying to figure out, that's when I was able to determine that you can get through this. You're stronger than you think you are. And just because you're going through menopause is not the end of life. It's the end of a chapter or a season of your life, but it's not the end of life. And there's so much more that I wanted to do. And so I started focusing on those things that I wanted to do before I leave this. You know, everybody have the bucket list or whatever. I can't call it bucket list. You know, I call it a life list.
Right.
Not bucket,
Right.
but
Not
a
bucket.
life list of things that I want to do. And what I end up finding out, that there were a ton of little things on there that I could truly accomplish and that would bring me joy. And that's what helped me get through.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. And I feel like now at this point, it's kind of redundant to even ask, because I don't even know. I've been told from people that perimenopause can start later in your 40s and not now. But I'm like, you could have knocked me over with a with a spoon, because at this point I'm starting to feel like either I've always been hot and had hot flashes, or this is coming early, because I sometimes don't even understand why I sweat the way I do, and I'll get mad at myself because I be sitting there, I'm like, this is not cute. Like, I don't like to be wet all the time, you know.
Yes,
Like, I'm not looking
yes.
forward to going back to the offices next week, because when I take the train, that less than 10-minute hustle to the office annoys me, because as soon as I get in the office, I'm like,
Yeah,
people start wanting to talk to me. I'll be like, give me
just
five,
give me
10 minutes. I gotta calm down.
that.
I said, because I get
Yes,
anxious, you know.
yes.
So it's an adjustment, but well, because you're a teacher, right? So what grade are you teaching?
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Grade
Okay.
math and science. Yes. So it I think a couple of things you need to do is get you some tools for your purse, you know, like your personal fan,
Yep.
whether it's the one with the battery
Yep.
or the
Yep.
one that does this.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of something, keep something always cold to drink with you so you can have, because I've been in the middle of a presentation where I'm presenting in front of teachers, and I just literally want to take my clothes off. Like, okay, y'all give me, I'm having my own, they say, personal summer.
That's what I say. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
I
just
tell
give me a
people.
minute. But people are still looking at you crazy because you're sitting there sweating like a runaway slave. And it just looks like, oh my God, is it that serious?
Is it
You
that
know,
serious? Yes, it is.
yes, it
Yeah.
is that serious.
Yeah.
But I will say that I want to say I started in my 30s, because I've been menstrual free for 6 years now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I want to say I started in my third, even though at that time mama kept saying, girl, are you not, you this, that, and the third. But I want to say
I teased my friend like before. Wait, I think the last 4 years are in her 40s. I remember telling her she might be. She was like, "Don't, I'm not." No, she was just like, "I already researched it. That's not." Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Okay, you may have some early signs." So now I think she's okay with it. But again, she's Benjamin Buttons anyway, so I don't think she even knows how to be upset that long about anything. But no, I thank you for this though, because like I said, this is just the beginning. I'm probably trying to grab your mother. I don't know if she's gonna do this, but I would love to talk to her. I think it'd be hilarious because mom's whole side of the family. Y'all got some colorful answers for everything. So but I thank you for taking the time, Nay, because I haven't seen you in I don't know how long since the last time we were all together for to see Aunt Veronis.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was like at least 3-4 years ago now, maybe even 5. So hopefully we'll see each other soon. I know Boo keeps teasing like she coming to Philly. I said I'm still waiting.
I know
because she's busy as heck. And I said, look, I'm gonna talk to her too eventually because
because she's going through it too right now. She calls me frequently. Well, what is this?
Yes, so, I have a source. All right. Well, I love you and I thank you for making the time, and tell everybody there, say hey, especially Ray over there. I know he stayed in there. And we will talk soon, my love. And I will send you the link too because I want you to see this.
Okay. Love all you too, lady.
Love you. Right. Thanks for all those who's watching 5 Questions. AJ Jones will be back with another presentation next week. Bye.
Bye.